It was all a dream. 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 It was all a dream.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the It Was All a Dream podcast. I am your host, Rob Sproul. We are on episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're on episode 10. Today's guest started as a self-taught braider, filling a much-needed gap in the community. Over time, she transformed her craft into full-fledged business, building a reputation for more than just styling. She creates an experience. For many of her clients sitting in her chair, it isn't just about getting their hair done. It's about being seen, heard, and uplifted. Through the years of deep conversation with clients, my guest also realized her impact extended beyond just the salon. That's what led her into becoming an author, turning those everyday lessons and life experiences into self-help books that inspire and empower others. Get ready for an inspiring conversation with none other than Jaylah Johnson.
Hey,
you like that?
Yes, you did your big one on that one. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh man, I had to put my foot into that one.
Yeah, you did. I mean, like the big toe and everything.
the big toe.
Yeah.
So what I like to ask everybody, Jaylah, is where are you from?
I am from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Midwest.
Midwest, okay.
Naptown.
Okay. What got you out here in AZ?
I need a change of scenery.
So you picked Arizona of all places?
Yes, because I love the heat.
Okay, you could have picked Cali.
Have you been to Indiana?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not missing nothing.
She don't mean that, Indiana.
No,
she
I
miss
do.
y'all.
I really do, though.
So do you have family or anything out here?
Actually, I do. My mom moved out here not too long after I moved out here.
Okay.
And so we've both been here about 3 years now.
Okay.
So I moved out here first, started my own journey, and I transitioned out here. I was working 3 jobs, and then right after I found out that I was having my daughter, she was like, I'm coming. So she's been here just as long as I have now.
Oh, so mom popped up after you got pregnant and was just like, hey, what do you have, boy, girl?
I have a daughter.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Thank
How old?
you. She's 2
Oh,
in the
okay.
terrible 2s, actually.
Oh, terrible
Yeah,
too. She don't mean that little mama.
She's a terrorist.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What inspired you to become a hairstylist and eventually decide to start your own business?
Actually, it was something that just picked me. So I actually started off as a licensed nail technician.
Okay.
I got my license for that straight out of high school. And so I was also in college at the same time, right? So while I was in college, I was going back and forth to Indianapolis because the college that I went to was about an hour and 30 minutes away.
Okay.
And so I was going to go get my license. But when I was actually in school to get my license, the director or the owner of the beauty school, he kept calling me to the front to do hair. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be back here doing my
nails.
clinicals. Yeah, like, what are you doing? And so that started it, but I also started off doing my own hair. And so when I was younger, I used to go to the African shops. They used to tear my hair out. I got tired of that, so I just started doing my own. And from there, people would ask me like, oh, who did your hair? And I'm like, me. They're like, can you do mine? I'm like, yeah.
And one thing led to another as far as like growing.
And I ended up actually stopping to I don't do nails no more. I just do hair. And so
why no nails no more?
It's a little too tedious for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I have bad nerves. I be over there shaking.
The money's not there as far as that goes.
I don't see the return on it. It's so many products that you have to buy for that. And I know the girls that love doing it, but it's so much that goes into doing nails that it just seemed like it's not worth it for me. Whereas all I need is a comb and some braiding gel and some hair. That's 3 products right there. And you make more of a return off of it.
How do you get to the point where you're working 3 jobs and saying, I don't want to do this no more, and I'm going to give all my energy into doing hair? Like,
Well, hair has always kind of been my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first moved out here, I had to work 3 jobs in order for me to like transition from one state to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was actually helping my cousin. They have a home health aid company. And so I was working for their marketing team, and because I have a degree in marketing. So I was working for their marketing team, and then I was working bedside with their clients, and I also was working in the shop. So eventually the rest of it just trickled off once I got more settled in the shop and got my name out there. Because when I first got out here, everybody thought I was a scam. They was like, where you come from? Yeah, so I had to prove myself, and I had to get that word of mouth out there and people to actually vouch for me. And so once that happened, I started creating that client rapport, and everybody just started vouching for me. Then I was able to transition from having 3 jobs to just having 1.
that's nice.
Yeah.
And that speaks volume on the people that decided they wanted to hang in there with you and remain loyal
Yeah,
throughout that
'cause
process.
I
Because you're
have
relying
had-
solely on them.
Yeah, I have kept most of my clients that didn't move or haven't transitioned to different, cut their hair off or locks. I kept them since I've been here.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes it'd be a little while before I see them, and I'm like, "Hey, girl, welcome back."
You still remember me?
They come in like, "You don't remember me?" I'm like, "No."
Did you always know that you wanted to be in the beauty industry, though?
No. You want to know what I thought I was gonna be?
What?
A stockbroker.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you dabble in that field a little bit?
No.
You ain't take no risk with no
That
money?
was like when I was a child. You know how you ask children what they want to be?
Right.
And they're like, I want to be a firefighter.
Right.
And I was like, I want to be a stockbroker.
They were like, spell it.
Right. Why do you want to do that? And I just, it's where the money is at. I never thought I was going to be in the hair industry. And I didn't think I would be in it for this long either, because it's been about 10 years now.
So you really meant that when you said that this found you
Yes.
in comparison to.
Yeah.
What do you feel were your biggest influences or mentors, getting started?
My mom, she's actually, she's a cosmetologist.
Okay.
And she's a barber, but she's also a barber instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And so just me growing up in that shop life, I have witnessed, her doing hair, long hours, the clients, her building her client relationships, her professionalism. So she even mentors me still to this day when I'm like, Mama, this client, I don't know what to do. And she'll be like, you need to da-da-da-da. Sometimes I don't take her advice because we in a different generation of stuff. But
Right.
I do listen to her, and she does mentor me. And she's been a really big impact on me just being a hairstylist in general. Like me, I had opened my shop. I had a shop before I moved here in Indianapolis. So she kind of helped me with the protocols and like the regulations and coming in like, oh, this is what's going to get you shut down. So she has been a standing strong, like my top dog.
Backbone as far as like helping
yes.
making sure you see things through.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's definitely good. What was the moment you realized I want to turn this into a business though? Like, because initially it was just, you were just dabbling with it initially.
You know what? And this is going to sound so crazy, but my business didn't really take a turn point for me mentally until about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I went from hustling and having a hustling mind state to being a professional. And it took for one of my clients to actually have a conversation with me like, what are you doing? And so I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, and it just was because she was a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And so she sat me down. We talked about finances, which is real personal with everybody, right? Because I
Very
don't
much
like
so.
talking about my finances with nobody.
Right.
And so not even my dad. Like he be asking, I'm like, you in my business. But it was, I had to release that and actually trust her. And so we were talking about finances, and like I didn't trust the bank, you know what I mean? So I think that's where I grew up in the mental state that everybody is around me. It's like Indianapolis.
Shoebox money.
Shoebox.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff in your mattress,
Yep.
literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went from that into being a professional, and it changed the way that I looked at everything completely, as far as like I'm not hustling no more. And so what that looked like is, it's like with the shoebox thing, she had asked me like how much money that I have on me at the moment. And I'm going to be honest, I had about $6,000 on me at that time, just sitting there. And she was like, why? And I was like, I'm saving it. And she was like, put it in the bank. And I was like, I don't want to put this in the bank. I was taught to not trust the bank. No, for real. Like,
I get it. Trust me.
You
I
know
get
what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah.
So, and she was like, Jaylah, you know, you are a professional. You're not in the streets. And I'm like, I'm not.
Right.
But she kind of guided me in the right way to be able to turn my business from hustling. And I actually seen the most growth from just my business, being able to see profit and how I connect with my clients on a more professional way through speaking with her. Now, as far as the way that I conduct my business
Right.
with my clients, that took a turn point probably right before I moved here, because I'm not gonna lie, I went through some stages with doing hair, and I think a lot of it is just learning and growing, and you just maturation. Because in the beginning, I was a good hairstylist, but I wasn't a good. What is the word? I wasn't a good service provider. If you get what I'm saying.
Elaborate on that.
So like I would be late. Like I wouldn't care about the other clients, or I would not allow them to have grace periods when they're late. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't really connect with them when I'm talking to them and having that personal time. I wouldn't
So
connect
touch
with
and
them.
go more or less.
Yeah, and I wouldn't like feel them out. I'd just be doing my job, or I would be on the phone, which I don't do now, it was so unprofessional. But it's just a lot of things that I had to learn during the course of me being in this hair industry for about 10 years that I have seen development. And I be trying to talk to younger girls now who are in the hair industry. I'm like, you probably shouldn't do that. It's kind of rude. You know what I mean? Like, but it just comes with maturation and time, and you actually putting that time in for your business and your clients, and having that relationship with your clients. Because now I have a great relationship with pretty much all my clients. Like, we homegirls.
Right.
All of us, though. Like, I feel like I feel filled when they come, and I feel like I feel them before they leave. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not just me doing hair anymore. I actually look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, and it's the relationships that's being built throughout the time that are more genuine now than instead of looking at someone like a dollar sign per se, like when
Because that's
before.
exactly what I used to look at.
Yeah,
them as.
touch and go. I show up when I want to. You need me. I need you, but I'm not going to show you that.
It was like a sense of entitlement. Like, you booked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to release that. That was so detrimental.
Yeah, I'm glad you found that wake-up call, because that would have been tough. That would have been a tough one to try to overcome and try to get back on your feet, you know? But we all have our own wake-up call. Tell me the hardest part about running a hair business that people don't realize.
The hardest part about running a hair business that people do not realize is just time management, because everybody have specific time and how long they're supposed to be there. And a lot of us feel like we're rushed when we're doing certain styles and trying to complete a task with people.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know how to master time management when they're in the industry. So it comes with time and you just perfecting your craft. Like now for me, I would like to say I'm one of the fastest braiders in Arizona, but it also came with time. You know what I mean? So I think was the hardest thing for me to like master as a hairstylist is my time management and being done at a specific time, and respecting everybody else's time, because that's a big part of the industry.
Very much so.
It's time. So I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, I remember I used to get my hair braided when I was young and then having to sit there.
You had some braids.
Oh yeah, I did it all.
What if they was braiding your scalp?
Man. But, it's the same thing you was talking about. The same thing we're talking about time management. I was dealing with someone that wasn't so much focused on the business acumen of it. They're looking at it from,
you be sitting there for
hours.
hours.
And then getting phone calls from who and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And you got to sit there and listen to that.
Yeah,
like,
they got to
go
go in the bathroom, can't talk in front of you and stuff, and
it's
feed
like
the baby,
one
all
thing
kind of
that
extra
you
stuff.
book a style for something and you expect to be there at that certain time for that amount of time, and it's like either you're going to get me out of here earlier on time or you're going to be here really late. And so if people don't understand, like, I am a client as well. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I know how it feel to be on that opposite end and be sitting there like, please, I got other stuff to do.
I hear you.
I had other service providers made me late for my clients. So I think that's the hardest thing to master in this industry is just time.
Yeah, I feel like when when people started doing like you had to schedule things online,
Mm-hmm.
like for haircuts. I loved that when that came into place because I hated waking up early on Saturday, pulling up to the barber shop. I'm waiting for my homeboy to cut my hair, and then the
You
next
just
thing
sitting there.
you know, some mom comes in or some dad comes in, got they 3, 4 boys
And you
plus
getting
them.
skips. Yeah, I
Gotta
used to
wait,
work in the barbershop actually, so I know.
that or either they're rushing through my haircut because they're trying to get to the other people, and I don't want to be a part of that process.
Yeah.
Especially somebody like me, I get my haircut every week, so like I tell barbers, I'm just like, look, bro, respectfully, like I like this aura and the vibe here, but essentially I could go anywhere and get my haircut. You know what I mean?
But you know what? Still, let me touch on that because just because you have a booking site, that don't mean that they gonna respect your time. Like you'll book an appointment with somebody and you'll still come in and sit down and be waiting 15,
I
20
ain't had that
minutes.
problem.
You haven't? I have.
I feel like
A
that has
couple of
been a
times
lifeline.
actually since I've been here, and it's probably the most aggravating thing ever. So I think that that was one of the things that I really made, you know, a big thing about me doing to my clients is when they sit down, when they come for their appointment, that's their appointment time. There's nobody going to be there when you come. You're not going to wait. You know what I'm saying? Because I put leverage room on my booking site.
Right.
So just because like a style, it may take me realistically 4 or 5 hours, I put 8.
So you got that grace and stuff.
So I have a grace period. You have a grace period because, like I said, back in the, you know, when I was first starting, I didn't respect nobody's time. You 15 minutes late, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying?
Or somebody just gonna be sitting there waiting for their turn. Oh, I hated that.
What really made me like release that was me being a mom, like because I know that some mornings are worse than others. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard to get on the same page with your kid, and so. It be traffic. You like it was a little, you know, a few minutes late because of traffic. You like, sorry, like
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
They ain't got nothing to do with me. And so, you know, some people choose to, you know, charge people extra for late. I just have a grace period. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you respect my time, I'm gonna respect yours. And so I don't charge people for being a few minutes late.
Right.
Some people have outrageous charges, like, you can be 5 minutes late, and I'm going to charge you $30.
Yeah.
If I'm 5 minutes late, I'm just not gonna come because you're not gonna charge me $30.
I think barbers do it like it's like if it's like 15 minutes or something like that, they hit you with whatever half their fee is normally.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
I can get that because of, I guess, the style timing takes less time.
Yeah.
And whereas mine, you're gonna be here for hours anyway. So if I already overextend the time, that's just your time block for you to be here. So it's just a little wiggle room.
How important is social media? I know you mentioned being a marketing major. How important is social media to your business, and what platforms work best for you, and why?
Social media is a big thing. I have my love-hate relationship with social media. I promise I do. But it's more so because I hate social media. I do not like it, but I need it for my business, right? And so I think that the best social media platform for me is Instagram and a little bit of TikTok, but you have to know how to work TikTok's algorithm. You know what I mean? It's like come touch and go with that too. Like they'll pick you up or they might not. It depends on what time you're posting it to and who your audience is, right? But if you utilize Instagram and the hashtags and you make your content look good, I feel like anybody and everybody will find you when it's time for them to find you. So I use Instagram. I'm not really a big fan of Facebook and their hair groups. It'd be a lot of drama in there. I don't know. Have you seen it?
Nah.
Oh, you're not in there?
No.
It's the trenches.
No way. No way. Do you collaborate with any influencers or stylists to help grow your brand as well?
I don't collaborate with anybody, but I have had some major influencers. Actually, I've done their hair a couple of times, and I post them. So I feel like I have gotten a lot of, people come to me based off of that. But I haven't got to the chance to actually collaborate with anyone yet. My schedule will be tight, so
That's something you open to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How do you build long-term relationships, you feel, with clients and keeping them coming back, aside from just great work?
I'm a people person, but I also I listen to people. And so I think it's just beyond me standing behind the chair. It's actually me, how's your day going? And when people come in, I greet them with a smile, you know. So I talk to them, how your day going? How you been? You okay? Because I'm an empath, so I can, you know, pick up on anybody's energy very quickly. And so I think that when I actually care about them and not just the hairstyle, it kind of keep me having a good relationship with them. Because then you come in and you like, whew, you know, you let loose and you be able to just like, girl, I had an awful day. And I'm like, tell me about it. I don't know if it's a part of me being nosy, but but I like to talk to people. So I think that's what creates my relationships with people, because then you come back and you like, remember when? And I'm like, yeah, so we always got something to talk about too. But I'm very attentive. So I listen to people. When people ask me for my sound advice, I try to give the best of it. I don't like giving people advice because I'm not the best person to get advice from. But I try to listen to them, and I listen to everybody's story. But not only that, I talk about myself as well. So you don't just feel like you just letting up and letting out on me.
Yeah,
you don't know
both of you guys
nothing
are
about
sharing.
me. So
Yeah.
I am very open. I'm very transparent with my clients. If they ask me anything, I'm an open book. And so I think that's what kind of like creates that client relationship where they like, okay, you know, you trusting. Like you talking to me, I'm talking to you. And I also have like, you know, it's just me and you. It's not like people are next to me because I work, you know, from home right now. And so it's just me and you. You have the space and the opportunity just to talk and let down. If you don't want to talk, that's fine too. I respect people's space. So I think that's what has been able to help me create, you know, relationships with my client, is just being attentive to them.
Nice. What does a typical day in the life of a hairstylist look like? Today's Thursday, so tomorrow's Friday. I'm sure you have a full day.
Oh, yeah, today's Thursday.
So
We
what's it
already know
look
how
like?
my Thursday starts off. So tomorrow, you know, I wake up in the morning. I have a child, so I do have to attend to her first. And I get her ready for school. She gets dropped off at daycare. And depending on what style I have to do, it could be at 9 a.m. That's the earliest I start on the weekday, or it could be 10. So I usually get my products the day before and prep the hair the night before the next day for my client. And so after I drop my daughter off at school, I go to the gym.
Okay.
Or if I can't go to the gym and I have to go to the beauty supply store, I go to the beauty supply store to make it there at my client at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, because it's usually either or. And then I start that client, depending on how many styles I have that day. I might have 2. 3 is really my max, depending on what the style is. And so I knock those out, and usually I have a break in between 3 o'clock, 3:30 to 4. I go get my kid. We come back home, get her situated, and I knock out the rest of everybody. But I usually be done probably around 6 o'clock in the evening.
Nice.
I'm old.
You're not old. You may have an older soul.
I'm old. Like, you know, I can't be. I give it to the girls that be in the shop. You know, I used to be, you know, from sun up to sundown, but I gotta go to bed. I need to be in the bed at 9:30. You know, I'm not going to be able to function the next day.
You not playing. I hear you. I hear you. How do you price your services to stay competitive while still keeping value?
Okay. So I price my services based off of the time. And so I start off with like 50 to 75 an hour, and based off of how long it really is going to take me to do that style. Now I don't go based off of competitors. I go based off of the worth and what it's worth for me, and how much I see it and what I actually pay for this. Because some people prices be off the chain. I don't know if you know that, but they be charging an arm and a leg for some braids. Like, I seen one girl charge like $1,300. I was like, dang.
She doing
I
celebrities?
might need to up my prices.
Is she doing celebrity hair?
No, I don't know, but I try to keep it fair, because I don't really believe in, you know, I feel like you overcharging people. You know what I mean? I don't want to overcharge nobody. I want to give you exactly what you want, and I want to still feel like I'm being paid, you know, afterwards, like it was worth it for me in my time. So
is that
I
something
pay for
you're
my
checking
time.
in the area to see what everybody else is going on, or you're just going off of what you feel is
Nope,
just based off your time?
Off of what I feel. And so, like, when I had first started, I feel like I started off cheap. And so, like, kind of every year I would kind of go up. I've never really, I think probably when I first moved out here, I checked the prices of, like, the people that were around me in that area. But I haven't since then. I've pretty much kept my prices the same since I've been here. I went up, I think, on a few styles, you know what I mean? But that's based off of like the economy and how everything is right now. You know, the gas a little high, so you gotta make it worth it.
Right.
But no, I try to keep my prices fair and not overcharge nobody, because I don't want you to feel like you just got robbed. Like,
Right.
or like, dang, you know, I don't really have nothing that much to really spend on nothing else. I just spent all my money on my hair, which I mean, it's not a necessity, you know what I mean? It's a want, but
Right.
I still want to be able to give you what you want for a decent price, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's definitely fair. I've seen something online with you. You have a beginner's braid youth boot camp coming up. Okay, which sounds like it's an amazing opportunity for young aspiring stylists. Can you tell me more about what inspired you to start that, and what attendees can expect from attending?
Yes, so I believe in giving back to my community, especially with the youth. I love kids, so I want to see them. I trained myself when I was younger, right? So I started doing hair when I was in middle school. That's when the Africans first ripped my hair out from my scalp, and I was waking up, and I had whole braids sitting on. Literally, you laughing, but like I was in pain. Like,
You sound like my sisters. They saying I got a sister live in Atlanta, got a sister live in Houston. So
look, whole braids
Yeah.
from the scalp, like braided my whole scalp. Listen, on the pillow, just waking up. So I started there. You know, I used to go to school. My braids weren't the tightest. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were, who did your hair? What? So I had to learn, you know what I mean? So I was self-taught. I had to teach myself. And so I wish I had somebody there to be able to show me what to do, so I wouldn't get talked about and bullied while I was in school because my braids were loose. But I think that because I had learned that trade when I was so young, that I'm able to, you know, support myself now, and I support my kid. You know, my daughter is really in a good position, you know what I mean? So it's a trade that I picked up when I was really young that now is feeding me and my household. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to give children that opportunity to be able to start that young, because you can be in high school or college like I was, and you can be making some extra money, some, you know, extra income while you're in school, because you know how the broke college student thing is, you know. You struggling a little bit. You got we living off ramen noodles and Sunny D. Like, so
Make it work.
You gotta make it work. You know, everybody is not blessed with it, you know, with the parents to be able to, you know, fund them everything for their schooling. So you have to be able to sustain on your own. And so I want to be able to teach kids that sustainable entrepreneurship young. And it doesn't just start with braiding. It goes into marketing and how to market yourself, you know, how to be professional. Because it was taught to me, right? So I had to teach it to somebody else.
Those
you
are all
know,
phases that you'll be teaching.
yes,
as well.
even scalp health. It's not just it's a little bit of cosmetology sprinkled in there, just a
Okay.
little bit. You know what I mean? So, I think that it's an important thing, because you know, kids, they a little lazy nowadays. All they do is Roblox, and they don't even go
Minecraft.
outside for real. And so I think that I'm scared for the next generation, I'm telling you. But
I
just
hear
a
you.
little bit. But I feel like if it was somebody in the community that was actually taking steps to actually teach our kids something, that they should be able to take advantage of that. You know what I mean? So I'm doing my boot camp on April 26th. It's coming up real fast. I'm excited, but it's coming.
No, I think that that's a great thing, especially community-wise, and creating a way where aspiring people have someone to look towards and say, hey, you know, maybe they might become clients. Maybe they might, you know, come work in a shop that you know, present an opportunity for them and stuff. So, like, I love hearing people, you know, reaching back because they found a space where they can do so, you know. Where do you see yourself as far as your business goes within, in the next 5 years?
I plan on retiring.
Oh, you just trying to tap out.
Yeah, that's why I'm teaching the community. I got to give back before I leave, right?
Right, most definitely.
I do. I plan on standing away from that chair. I don't want it to wear me down to where I ain't going to be able to keep up with my kids. You know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a lot on you physically. And so for me to have been able to do it for 10 years, you know what I mean? I probably got a good 15 in me before I'm like, okay, what's the next? And so that's why I've been setting myself up and, you know, moving into different directions and avenues, because I am a serial entrepreneur, you know what I mean? So I want to be able to keep my entrepreneurship going, but without me having to, you know, do hair, because it wears your body out. It does. It wears your hands out. Sometimes I'm in pain. You know what I mean? I have to sit down and ice my hands and what is that gonna do for me in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
So
No, that's great to be looking at it from that aspect too. Tapping out early and making sure you can do stuff in the future.
I gotta tap out early. I feel like I did what I was supposed to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, you go ahead and pass the torch back to somebody else because I don't want to have carpet tunnel. Like,
No,
and that's serious. Like,
that's real deal. That's definitely real deal. Well, now we reached the part of the show that is called.
And if you don't know, now you know. 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 Now you know.
This is part of the show where I had the chance to reach out to people that you know and ask them some questions they didn't know about you. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. This question is from your cousin, Sade.
Okay, Shawty.
She said, outside of your kids, what or who drives you to be great?
Yeah, who drives me or what? So it's not a what or a who. It's I feel like I'm driven by success. I have a addiction to it, and so that's like outcome driven.
Okay.
Rather success driven. So I think that keeps me going is the outcomes of things. So I love to keep going and mastering projects. It's like an addiction. I've been having it for a long time.
So
like,
once you start, you have to finish.
I have to finish it, and then I'll be feeling like, okay, what's next? No, I'm serious.
Okay.
I would do stuff just because I'm bored. Now, they took everything out of me just recently to not go get my doctorate. Because what am I getting it for? Because I'm bored.
You gotta find other ways to invest that time to be able to make some more
I had to talk to
money.
one of my cousins, and she was like, she said, you gotta make sure that that's something that you actually want to do, and that's something because you're doing it because you're bored. Because everybody know me, I just be doing stuff like, all right, next. Like,
Yeah, once you do it, then what are you gonna apply that to?
What am I gonna apply it to? And she was like, you actually, making time for your business and doing all the steps around that's just as equivalent as a doctorate. Then you going to go get one. So she was telling me just to hone in and zone in on what I'm doing now.
That's definitely what's up. The next question, this one's from your friend Jada from Jayland Braids and Yo-Yo Beauty Supplies.
Okay.
What inspires you to be you?
Really? What inspires me to be me? I don't think I have an inspiration as far as a thing. Right now, I feel like it's my daughter. Yeah. I feel like I have to be the best version of myself for her because I am a single mom. So I have to be that pillar, you know what I mean, that shows her what she is capable of doing. So she is a driving factor in who I am today.
Yeah, your mom did the same for you, and now you're passing that along to
they
your daughter.
say that my daddy actually told me this, right? He said that your kids are supposed to go further than you are. So if you set the stones, then they should just follow it. You set that path, and they should go further than you, right? So I got my master's degree for my daughter. I didn't even get it for myself. Because I feel like, okay, well, if I got that, then you'd be like, okay, well, I can be a doctor. If that's what she chooses to do, it's not, I'm not going to make her. But I feel like your kids are supposed to go further than you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She is actually my driving factor of me.
Being an inspiration.
Yeah, she's my inspiration. She's the goat in the house.
The goat.
Literally.
What's her name?
Jade. She's a Capricorn.
Jade. Okay. Oh, that's what, January, baby?
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, she was born in December.
Okay.
The day after Christmas.
Late December. Yeah. One of my best friends is a Capricorn. What's up, Matt?
They something else, ain't they?
Yeah. He's very, very structured, very about, like, timely about things and stuff like that. If we go places, what time are we leaving?
And they work hard.
Yeah. Oh, super hard. Super, super hard. So, yeah, definitely shout out to my bro, Matt. Definitely a Capricorn guy. This one comes from your friend, Nayla Mason. Nala. Sorry, Nala.
He butchered your name.
Sorry,
It's okay.
Sorry, Nala. I said it twice, so you got double the airplay on that one. What's a small amount from your childhood that still makes you smile every time you think about it? A small moment, rather. I'm sorry.
A small moment from my child. Ride my bike. Oh, my goodness. And when I used to live in Indianapolis, and I hadn't lived with my mom in such a long time, when I used to drive through the neighborhood, I used to have flashbacks of me riding my bike through the neighborhood. It was like nostalgic for me or something. Like it's just everything looks so different when you're older. And I was like, dang, you know, I used to.
Kids ain't even think about that no
No,
more,
you know,
right?
and it's crazy because when I ride through it, there's nobody else. Like, where's the
Like, I
kids
wish
at?
I would see a
They
kid
in
on
the
a
house
bike right
playing
now.
Call of Duty,
Oh, man, that or on somebody's laptop or,
playing
you know.
Sims
Man,
on
it's
TikTok.
so
Just
crazy.
on the internet. We used to really be outside hanging from the trees. Like, I used to get in trouble for doing half the stuff that I used to do outside. But I mean, it builds character. I like being outside still.
You push that, you think you're going to push that towards your daughter as far as like being out there?
She loves being outside now. She be shoes. Let's go. And I'm like, we're not going nowhere. I'm really a homebody for real.
Right.
And so I do enjoy being outside, but I have to be ready for it. You know what I mean? I'm old. Listen, like I gotta be ready for it. So she be like, shoes, let's go. And I'm like, where are we going? Like, where do you want to go? So I have to be mindful of that. Like, it's just not me. Because
Right.
if it's me, I can't stay in the house. But with her, she wants to be outside and about. She loves to swim.
Yeah.
Like, she loves to be outside.
Like, mama,
so.
let's move around. Quit
Yeah,
playing.
she like, come on, girl.
And this last question comes from Stephanie Roberson. She is the owner of 541 Furniture Gallery. She said, when was the last time you truly felt at peace, and what were you doing?
Oh, man. That's a good question, Stephanie.
Yeah.
She didn't want to tell me what she was going to ask me either.
Shout
So
out to Stephanie.
that was a good question,
Yeah.
girl. Okay, so my peace has really transitioned over the last couple of years. I actually feel the most peace in my life now as a whole.
Why?
Because I went through so much, you know what I mean? Peace is a state of mind, you know what I mean? So I feel the most peaceful when I'm really at home and like I get to zen out. I like taking baths and stuff. That's the most peaceful thing for me. But my home is my sanctuary, so that is a peaceful space for me. But as far as overall peace,
Or just a time
a
specifically?
time,
Yeah. Would it be
like-
taking a bath, like you said?
yeah, like, or no, like I feel at peace mostly when I'm like feeding my inner child with my kid. You know what I mean? Like I'm healing that for myself, and that's really peaceful for me when I can see her laugh or, you know, see her fulfilling her things like that she's playing with, and like she's all filled up with that. So that makes me really peaceful. And now I guess people won't really understand that until they're a parent, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's really peaceful to see her be in her own element and be able to just like, dang, I used to do that when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
because you know what you're pouring into her. Yeah, with
Yeah,
good
and it's like
intent.
she's watching me. Like my daughter, she 2. She'd go in and get her baby doll. She'd be over there raking the baby doll hair and stuff. I'm like, she be at daycare. They be like, she might be a hairstylist. She take the potatoes. And I mean, like, it makes me so mad, right? But it's like, you think that's mousse, huh? Like, like, you thought that was mousse? I can't be mad. Like, let's just go clean it up. But she do.
You said she take the potatoes.
Not for real. Potatoes all in the head. I'm like, girl, please.
That is too funny. Nah. So, what's one piece of advice you wish someone would have gave you before you got things started?
As far as my business,
As far as your business, correct?
to give yourself grace.
Grace.
That you're going to mess up. You're not going to know everything. It's going to be some times where you're going to feel overwhelmed, that you want to stop and just quit. But you have to allow yourself grace, because everybody is going through different stages in their business. And what you're going through right now is not what you're going to be going through in a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. It's all stages. It comes and goes, right?
Right.
So when people don't allow themselves grace and to actually learn and to make mistakes and to fall and come back up, because we all have to fall as entrepreneurs and business owners, right? And so when they don't allow themselves grace to actually do that, it's just like you quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to allow yourself grace.
You feel like you learned this stuff through time, as far as like, was there anything specifically that was like a wake-up call to you where I have to get things right?
Yes. Actually, it was when I closed my shop before I moved here. And I had opened my shop. I had renovated the whole inside of it. It was nice. I had a little sanctuary in the little hood. You know what I mean? It was nice. It was my peaceful. I felt so accomplished, right? I had so many problems with the building. The roof was messed up. You know what I mean? It was raining. You know how it be monsooning out here in Indianapolis. It rained a lot in the summertime too, and so it was raining in the building. It was fungus growing up the walls. The plumbing line was backed up, so you couldn't even flush the toilet. So how much rain was actually collecting on the ceiling, the light fixtures was messing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
the condensation was getting in there.
So much problems that I was having. The AC didn't work, and it was summertime. The fans blowing hot air, like, you know what I mean. So it was so many problems that I was having with that salon that I ended up having to close it. And when I closed it, I couldn't get off my couch for like 2 weeks. And my mom had to come get me off my couch, like, you are doing an amazing job. Like, she brought me flowers, and she was like, you are doing so good. Like, it's just this is a learning lesson. At least you can say that you did it. Mm-hmm. You have the knowledge behind you actually do it. Everybody can't say that they opened up a shop and failed. You opened up that shop and failed. You did it. Because most businesses fail within the first, 2 years?
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean that it won't happen. You just got to keep going.
No doubt. Shout out to your mom for speaking life into you.
That's my girl.
That's
I'm telling you.
Shout out Mom Dukes for that. What's the best business advice you feel that you received?
My best business advice that I received was from my financial advisor, Deja. When I was telling you earlier
Getting rid
about
of that
her shoebox. Man, she was like, Jaylah, you're not in the streets. And I was like, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, how you know? I might be. But she gave me the best business advice, and I have actually been able to see so much, like, even profit and be able to, like, really build my finances from my business, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you actually have to trust other people to help you. And I have always had the problem with trusting people to help me. And so when I was able, she sat me down, wrote me a whole list of things that I was supposed to do for the year. Check this off. This is what you're supposed to have. This is the amount of money that you're supposed to have in your bank account at the end of this year. This is the amount of money you're supposed to be having saved. I opened up a UTMA for my daughter. You know what I mean? So she has an investment account too, and she's 2.
Nice.
So she got more money in her investment account than most of those. I'm not even gonna say nothing for real.
Don't do that.
But just a little bit, like, you know what I mean? So she's able to save, and I was able to, like, learn those things that I never, we don't know what we don't know because our parents teach us, right? So our parents wasn't taught, financial literacy for real when most of them wasn't, you know what I mean? So for somebody else to instill that into you, and then you able to instill that to other people because now you know better, you know what I mean? So you can do better with your kids. And so I think that was the most solid sound foundation of advice that anybody could give me was to how to properly handle my finances.
What made you trust her?
Because she was my client.
And she just kept pushing the envelope on you, like, I'm not gonna
Every
leave it
time
alone.
she would come and sit down in my chair, she would like, so what you doing? You still playing? And I'm like, girl, get out my business. And she just kept doing it. Okay, when you ready, I'm here. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to you now. And I could just see, you have to watch what other people are doing and how they handle their finances as well. So to even be able to is trust them. You know what I mean? So she instilled in me what she knew. You know what I mean? She's a financial advisor, so I hope she wouldn't have, steered me wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just to be laughing like
yeah, she did her big one when it came down to sitting down and talking to me and making sure I was on the right right steps and stages in my business and where I needed to be at in that very moment. And she helped me set up, foundations for my daughter. And so now I feel good and proud as a parent because I know that when I do eventually leave this world, that I won't be leaving her empty-handed. You know what I mean? That she will be able to have a solid start foundation for when she gets older and she could do what she needs to do.
But there's also things that you learn now and you can teach her earlier on because, now you get to break that generational curse, so to speak, as far as information goes. And that's critical, especially nowadays, information being shared. Now, you're multifaceted when it comes to, just being a person. You like businesses. So outside of being someone that's in the hair industry, you're also an author. Yes. You had mentioned to me that you were inspired by one of your hair clients. Can you please expound on that and the people and name to the people the name of your books and stuff as well?
So I'm gonna start off with the names of my books. So I'm gonna go into each one kind of.
Okay.
And so my first book that I actually wrote was called Healing the Broken Little Girl in the Mirror. And then the second book that I wrote was called Building Her Legacy Through Self-Loyalty. Now, the second book I wrote based off of the first book. It was kind of like a spinoff and just a little bit, but in a different way. So the first book, I actually got inspired by talking to my clients about my own personal healing journey and what I went through. And so I've been through a lot, and I'm 27. You know what I mean? So I've been through a lot. I have lost a child. You know what I mean? So I went through that. You know what I mean? And we all have our own perspectives of our childhood, right? Like if I ask you something about your childhood, you're probably going to be like, well, my mom wasn't there, but she made sure we had food on the table, right? Or you know what I mean, my daddy wasn't around, I ain't got no good relationship with my father. Or like everybody has a different perspective on their childhood. You could put two kids in the same household that had the same life and was offered the same things, and they're still going to have two different perspectives on their childhood, right? And so we as adults, we have to learn how to nurture and heal our inner child and be the parent to ourselves that we wanted our parents to be, so we can be better parents to our children. So that was one of the things that I was worried about when I had my daughter, was me deflecting myself on her and being a bad parent. I don't know how I got that in my brain, but I was so scared of being a bad parent to her. So I had to go through my own healing journey, which looked like me going to see a therapist, you know what I mean? Like, because I did experience a major loss, and I had grief, and I had a lot of things that I was having trauma responses to, and I wasn't recognizing it. And so that first book was just, I was inspired by my clients from us having so many deep conversations, because it gets deep in there and we be in there laughing and crying, but it's so therapeutic. And I'm like, well, let me help somebody else beyond the chair. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not about me and your own personal healing journey. Somebody else is probably out here that's struggling with their own personal healing journey and don't know where to start or how to start. You know what I'm saying? So that second book, I was also inspired off while I was writing that first book, is just being authentic to yourself, right? Showing up truly as who you are, being the best version of yourself, knowing how to set your boundaries and when to say no, knowing how to put yourself first, because people will make that seem like it's selfish, but it's not when you're doing it with the right intentions. Put yourself first, whether that's with your family, your relationships, your friends, and even in parenthood, because you have to pour into yourself before you can pour into somebody else.
That's a fact. Man, you are wise beyond your years. She's over here, she's over here telling us that she's old.
I am.
And we hadn't even had the conversation
Look,
on like being, I have no idea how old she is. I can gauge about where she was at. But
where did you gauge and feel like I was at?
You was making yourself sound like you was like 30.
Look, I be telling people that I'm a cat and I done had 9 lives. I'm probably on my 7th one right now. So that's where my age and my wisdom is coming from, because I have been through so much stuff, but it was like self-inflicted trauma that I put on myself, right? So you know how your parents try to help you not go through certain things. They try to make their mistakes for you. I made my mistakes on my own, because I would have always been very rebellious, and you could tell me to go left, I'm gonna go right every single time. But every time I went right and I bumped my head, I was able to learn from it and I got back up. And so my mom, she has this joke. She like, girl, you made of rubber, like, because I'm resilient, and I bounce back from it every single time, and every time I bounce back from it, I come back stronger. And so I went from losing a child. I have even talked about in my first book about surviving DV. So I went through that, you know what I'm saying? So I can sympathize and empathize with people who have been in domestic relationships and who has lost a child or children, because it's not something that every woman has experienced. And I pray that no woman experienced that, you know what I mean? So I kind of have a little bit, my heart is so big and it's so full, you know what I mean? So I'm able to talk to anybody about anything, and I can talk to multiple people about different situations that's going on in their life. And a lot of times that stuff happens to me when I'm in work. Like when I'm working and my clients, they come in and they let down, and I have to be prepared that day for me to be able to receive whatever it is that they're saying to me, so I can be able to give and pour back into them. So that's mainly what my job is for. It's me, not just as a hairstylist, but to pour back into somebody else's cup. You know what I'm saying? Even when people are not pouring into mine, I try to make sure that I'm pouring into yours. You know what I'm saying? Because
does church play a pivotal role?
It does.
Okay.
I do. I go to church every Sunday. If not every Sunday, I try to, because some days I have to work on Sunday. It's just what it is. But I go to Thrive City Church in Avondale.
Okay. Shout out Thrive City.
He's amazing. Amazing.
Who's the pastor over
Greg
there?
Colbert. Yeah, he's
Shout out Greg
amazing.
Colbert.
He's amazing. He's a dope pastor. Like, I really love his preaching style. It's really nice. I think that everybody should try to go and, see it. But
Can you walk us through like what your writing process is like, and do you have any set routines when you were working on these books?
So my writing process would look different probably from anybody else that's inspiring to be an author, because as a hairstylist, I go through slow seasons. And so when I go through my slow seasons, I utilize that. So when it's times and periods where I don't have my clients, I work that whole full day on my book as if I have one. You know what I'm saying? So I usually start when I'm writing my books. I start with the outline, and I usually that looks like for me being in my peaceful state of mind in my bedroom, in the bed, in the bathtub. I start writing an outline on my phone of how many chapters and what that chapters look like, what I'm gonna talk about in that chapter, and I might spend a week on that. You know what I mean? Just sitting there trying to get my outline all the way perfected before I actually go into writing that book. Now, my first book, I don't like calling it a book. I like calling it a guide. It's a little smaller. You know what I'm saying? But it took me about 3 months to do that. That second book took me about 5 to 6. But that's just because I was strictly, like, when I wasn't working and I wasn't doing hair, it was straight book. And it was something that I was doing every single day. And I was staying up late to get done. I don't recommend nobody to do that because, I mean, I'm out, like I told you before, I'm kind of outcome driven. So when I lock into something, I have to get it done or I'm not going to do it. So.
No doubt. What were the biggest challenges you feel like you faced when it came to writing the books, though?
Oh, self-reflection.
Self-reflection, being able to share everything and stuff. And
and being
question what
transparent.
people,
And then me also writing these things, but having to take a hard look at myself when I'm writing. Because I can't tell people to do something or when they going through something and you're not doing it. And so actually one of my books actually had me looking on my relationships that I was having with my friends and my romantic relationships that I was having. And I just had seen it like in such a different light because I'm actually talking about it and writing it out and explaining how things are making me feel and how you should always choose yourself first. You still got to choose yourself first, even when situations require you not to. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people are going to push you to make you feel like you the bad person. You know what I'm
so
saying?
with that being said, do you feel like you've written stuff where someone might feel like they're being attacked because of what you said? No? Like, gotta take it with it. Take it as it come, huh?
I hope not. You know what I mean? Like, even
That's your interpretation anyways, though.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their own perspective, right? So even with my first book was mainly about my childhood, right? So in my acknowledgments, I did acknowledge both of my parents. And I asked them before they could read my book to make sure that they were in a space to receive it and to not take it to heart. You know what I mean? Make sure you're able to receive what I'm saying because this is my story.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have your own story and your own perspective of things, but the way that I received it and I took it is completely different than yours. You know what I'm saying? So you have to read it with an open mind. And so if anybody is to read my book that, friendship wise or whatever, I don't throw shade. I mean, a little bit sometimes, but like not in the book. You know
But
what
you telling them we listen,
and
but we don't judge.
Exactly. No, I wasn't throwing shade, but it just was like situations that would come up in the book, and I would just speak on it real briefly on like, oh, this is a situation that happened, and this is how I moved or how I learned from the situation. This is what I took from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not we gonna throw shade, but it's not like that.
What do you feel is the most surprising things you learned while writing these books?
I learned a lot about myself. I learned about how people, that first book, I was talking about the little girl in the mirror and being able to really receive your reflection, right? So we grow up, and I have grown up, and people have always said, you're so strong. But do you know what strong really mean for you? I'm asking you, yeah.
Like, what does strong mean to me?
Yeah.
I guess
when people say you're so strong, I mean, what
just
does that feel like?
somebody that's able to be, that takes care of themselves. Keeps a roof. For me, it would be keep a roof over my head, got a job, my car's working, I'm able to pay my bills. Active in the gym, feel great about myself, personifying great energy around the people that I interact with. I feel like that symbolizes strong.
Yeah.
In my interactions with people.
See, for me,
yeah.
I think strength was a mask. It was my mask. And I didn't realize that until I wrote my first book, that strength was a mask to me. Like everybody, that's all I heard. You're so strong, but I didn't know what it truly meant. And what it really was, that I would put it out there in the best way I could, right? While on the inside, I might be dying on the inside, but I'm still putting on this strong mask for everybody else, and I'm not allowing myself to be vulnerable with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So strength to me, I had to look at myself really hard in that mirror to really understand who I was and why I acted or, think the way that I think. And strength was one of them. Like strength felt like a mask to me. Like I was able to mask myself. I put myself out there always as the best version, the best healed version of myself. Or, everybody, even on social media, when you see people's social media profiles, they only putting out the best versions of themselves. They not really. So that's what strength looked like to me.
Right.
It was a mask. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. Because, a lot of times what it is the finished product. That's the biggest thing. Like, why I do the pod is more in lines of, like, we see the instant gratification of the finished product instead of it being a situation of, like, what someone took, what it took for someone to get to that space and stuff. Then the adversity that they went
You're
through.
so strong. How you so strong? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what does that mean? And that took me so long to really understand what it meant for me. And it felt like a mask. Like, strength really does feel like a mask to me. Like, I'm masking a pain, my vulnerability. Like, I'm putting myself out there to be the best healed version of myself. And this is what I can do. And if I can do it, you can do it too. That look like strength, don't it?
Right, it does. Anything you want to leave the people with before we get up out of here?
To always show up as your best version of yourself. Be you and always be you. No matter who you around. Like, no matter what job you have, be authentically yourself in every moments of your life.
Y'all heard it here first. Well, I want to thank you, Jaylah, for your time. And for you ladies looking to get your hair done, definitely reach out to Jaylah. Her information will obviously be on the pod. Let them know the name of your books again so that way they know. And then there's also the website information and stuff.
So both books are available on Amazon. The first one is Healing the Broken Little Girl in the Mirror. It's a guide to healing your inner child. And then the second book is called Building Her Legacy Through Self-Loyalty. So both of those are available on Amazon. And my website for booking is the Jaylah Rose. It's TheJaylahRose.com.
That's what's up. Good stuff. Well, you know what time it is. Another show wrapped up. Appreciate your time again, Jaylah.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It was All a Dream podcast. We out.